Okay, this video is going to go through the solutions of the 2010 multiple choice test. Sorry about that. I was waiting for it to load and it just popped up. Okay, so this was a 50-minute test. You can use your CAS calculator, you can use your bound reference. I'm going to emphasize the use of the calculator because I think that's what is accessible for everyone, but a lot of the questions you can do by hand. And the first one is a perfect example of how you can do that. So a simple expansion there, but on your calculator, get this here. Okay, see if we can fit that on as well. Okay, so we're expanding, so let's do expand. Now to find expand, it's exactly where you find solve. So solve, factor, expand. Okay, so we've got 3 times 2a, and I can't actually see that, so let's 2a plus 4. Let's just move that over a bit. And plus 2 times 4 minus 2a. Okay, press enter. So it's 2a plus 20, which is e. Okay, question 2. The expression 3x plus 4y can be arranged for y as. So I have done this so many times on videos. So if you're not watching my videos and you didn't know how to answer this one using your calculator, then you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. Okay, so here we've got y equals -3 brackets x minus 5. Now when I see that, it's not in that form here, so I can expand these brackets. So again, let's expand. Just press enter. Okay, so what it's done here is actually expanded what is on the top, and that's still not the same. But what you can do is say, all right, there's 2 versions of that answer. So if you can't rearrange this by hand, say, well, they both have over 4. So that eliminates A, B, and E straight away. Then this one up the top, the numerator, is 15 minus 3x. You can also get that if you expanded that. Okay, so 15 minus 3x, the correct answer was C. All right, question E. If E equals 2 and F equals -1, then 4E minus 2F is, okay, so we have 4 times E, so let's put E in brackets, which is 2, minus 2 times F, which is -1. Your answer is 10. Okay, so if you did that by hand and got -10, you probably got mixed up with your negatives here with -2F. All right, again, the inequation. All right, we can use solve on the calculator. Now, the problem is we have kind of like a fraction here. So you can use, oops, not that one, sorry, I didn't want to use it. You can use control divide, but just make sure on your numerator you actually use brackets, otherwise you're not going to get the right thing. Okay, so we have y plus 2 over 3, and then to get the greater than sign, we press control equals 5. You can also do this one by hand. Sorry, I should have done the y there. Okay, so y is greater than 13, so B. The gradient of the line joining the points -2, 1 and 6, -3 is, so this one requires you to actually use the formula, so I'll write that one down. So I'll just put the calculator away for now. Don't worry about that test in the background, that's a Year 7 test. Okay, so you should be familiar with the gradient formula. So it's the difference in your y values over the difference in your x values. So we have rise over run, and you can label them x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, you don't have to do all this. Once you get enough practice and you're confident, you should know, okay, it's -3 minus 1 over 6 minus -2. So we have -4 over 6 plus 2 is 8, which gives you -1/2. So your correct answer for that one is C. Okay, let's scroll to question 6. So the line above passes through the origin and the point 2, 1. So there's the origin. Origin is 0, 0. So how much have we gone up by? Oh, sorry. That's what happens when I use the keypad, not the tablet. Okay, so we've gone up by 1 and across 2. So it's, to read it straight off, is a half, or you can use the 2.0021 and just use the formula like we did in the previous question. So the correct one for that one is a half. You should know that that's a positive gradient, so straight away you should be eliminating A, B, and C and just seeing, okay, it's either D or E. Okay, let's scroll to the next one. Question 7. Which of the following pairs of coordinates is a solution to these simultaneous equations? Now this should be a question that is worth 100%, like 100% of students should have got this one correct, because it's just a straight solve. And if you were unable to answer this question, I really would love to know how you did simultaneous equations, because this is what I emphasize using the calculator. Okay, so we solve the two equations, comma x, and you get x equals 4, y equals -3. So the point is 4, -3. So where are we? B. Okay, let's just get rid of that for now. The graph of 3x minus 5y equals 15 is best represented by. Now, how I would do this is find the x and the y intercepts, because it is in intercept form. So I'll show you that, and then I'll show you how to do it on your calculator. So remember your y-intercept, floating around. So y-intercept, let x equal 0. So basically, if that's x is 0, that disappears. So -5y equals 15. That means when we solve that, we get y equals -3. Now I just go around and just cross out the ones that don't have a y-intercept of 3. So that one's 5, so that can cancel out. This one's +3, so let's cancel that one out. That one's -3. That one's 3, and that one's -5. So I don't even have to find out what the x-intercept is. I know straight away that it's going to be C, because I've eliminated everything else. Okay, so let's go back to the calculator. So if you're someone who likes something in the form y equals mx plus c, you can go solve, type in your equation, 3x minus 5y equals 15, comma y, and it'll put it in the form y equals mx plus c. It's a bit hard to see, so let's just expand that. Okay, so when I expand that, I can see straight away that the y-intercept is -3 also. The gradient is 3/5, so I can use that information again to do that. 3/5 is a positive gradient, so that means it can't be D, could be the others. So, but from rearranging it, I can see straight away that my y-intercept was -3. All right, question 9, the equation for the linear graph with the points -8, 0 and 0, 4 is, okay, so this, first of all, I can see that the y-intercept here is at 4. So you want +4 on all of them, or on your equation, sorry, and they're all +4. So we can't eliminate anything, which is unfortunate. So the next thing I do is probably just calculate the gradient. So we had the gradient formula up before. I'm just going to do it here. So 4 minus 0 over 0 minus -8. So we have 4 over +8, which gives you a half. So the one with a positive half is E. All right, question 10. A family monthly membership at a tennis club costs a flat fee of $150 plus $25 per person. So if N stands for the number of people, the membership cost C can be modelled by. Okay, so in your equation, this is a flat fee. It doesn't depend on anything else, so that's basically our constant. So we cross out anything that doesn't have 150 as a constant. This doesn't have it as a constant because it's attached to the N. This one has it as a constant. This one here is just the wrong answer. This one has it as a constant, and neither does E. So we're basically choosing between B and D. This one here tells us a rate. Okay, and rate is, I guess, another term for your gradient. It's the rate that the cost is changing. So it's changing at $25 per person, which is going to give you D. Question B is basically saying you have two flat fees, $150 and $25, and then you add basically $1 per person. So it's just a nonsense answer for B. Okay, question 11, the distance between the 2 points, 1, -1 and 4, -7 is, so you use the distance between 2 points formula, which you're going to test my memory here. Okay, so distance between 2 points formula, I'm just thinking, okay, squared plus. Now, it doesn't matter whether you have y here or x here. Okay, so x2 is -7, x1 is 1, and then y2 is 4, and y1 is -3, sorry. Just thinking. And see how I've kept things in brackets? So I've got the squared there, and the squared there, and the squared there. And I'm also taking the square root of everything. Okay, so brackets are extremely important because when you square a negative number, you get a positive answer. Okay, so a negative times a negative does give you a positive. So here we have -8 squared, okay, which gives you positive 64. And this one's going to be 7 squared. Oops, no, it doesn't matter about where I put that last bracket, but I'm just going to get rid of it anyway. Should put it around the brackets, but it doesn't matter because it's going to give you the same answer. Okay, so we're going to have 64 plus 49. I think I may have made a mistake somewhere. Let's just check on the calculator. Oh, God, it's writing. Okay, 64 plus 49. Okay, so where did I go wrong? Let me just pause it for a sec because I could have written the formula down incorrectly. Okay, so the formula is correct. I actually realized what I did wrong. So I hope when you're watching that you actually realize where I went wrong. Okay, so x2 is actually 4. So let's just rub this out. Okay, and y2 is -7. So that's where I made the error. Okay, so let's just fix this all up. Hopefully you're taking note. So the good thing is about multiple choice is if your answer's not there, you know you've made a mistake. Okay, and that's a good thing that square root of 113 wasn't on there because if it was there, I would have selected it and not realized that I made an error. Okay, so x2 is 4. And that's probably another good reason why you should label them x1, y1, and so forth. Okay, so y2 is -7 minus -3. Okay, I think we're right now. So 4 minus 1 is 3. And then -7 plus 3 is -4. Okay, so we have 9 plus 16, okay, which gives you the square root of 25, which gives you 5. Okay, that's nicer. Hopefully I didn't make a mistake. I don't actually have the answer sheet on me. Okay. All right. If I made an error, you let me know. I don't think I have. Okay, so the solution to 8 minus 2r/3 is less than or equal to -2. Now, this one you have to do on your calculator. I mean, you can do by hand quite easily, but I know that the inequality sign is going to change direction. And the reason I know that is because there's a negative here in front of our pronumerals. So that's fine. I like using brackets if we've got something on the numerator. What about less than or equal to -2, comma r. Okay, so r is greater than or equal to 15. So So easy to do on your calculator. Always just check that it's come out right. So if you did that by hand, you may have forgotten to switch the inequality sign. So the good thing about having your calculator is you can type it in and it'll switch it for you. Okay, question 13. The equation of a line that is parallel to y equals -2 on 3x plus 10 on 3 and passes through that point is, okay, so I'm going to get the pen out for this one. This is our gradient here. Now remember, with perpendicular and parallel lines, we always look at the gradient. And we want it to be parallel. So when two lines are parallel, they have the same gradient. So let's cross out any of the choices that don't have -2 on 3. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone. So now we have a 50% chance of getting it right. Before, it was 20%. Now, the next part is where it gets difficult. So I know my gradient is -2 on 3. I can substitute that into y equals mx plus c, because this point here gives me an x and a y. So we'll just substitute that in. 6 equals -2 on 3 times x, which is -3, plus c. And you're probably thinking, oh, that looks so messy, and you just give up. But hello, what is this? It's my calculator. Okay, I can use my calculator, even though it's a bit hard to see. So let's just, we can still see that. Okay. Oh, why don't I just move that over here? It's a bit easier. You wish you had it like a huge screen. I know I can make everything smaller. Okay, so we can solve 6 equals, you can type it exactly how it is written there. You don't have to do that multiplication. -2/3, so let's write that 2 on 3 times, times, no, I press 8. Times -3. Okay, when I've got a negative number, I like to put it in brackets. It's just me. Plus c. It wouldn't make any difference if you didn't put the brackets there. So 6 equals -2 on 3 times -3 plus c. Okay, so good. Solving for c. So c equals 4. Let's go back over here. So we want, pick my pen. This one here. E. Okay, let's go to 14. The gradient of the line perpendicular to. Now this is horrible because it's not in the form y equals mx plus c, but that's great because we can still use our calculator. So let's move you over. There we go. Okay, so let's do solve. Okay, easy to get it into y equals mx plus c. You can do it by hand, but you have a calculator, you can use your calculator. So I type it in, 2x minus 3y plus 8 equals 0. We want it in the form y equals, and we can't really see it there, so let's move it over. Okay, so again, if you're finding that a bit hard to see, do expand. Okay, so my gradient for this one, I'm going to circle it. It's got an arrow over the top. It's annoying. Okay, it's here. Excuse me. So much talking. Okay, so if we've got 2/3 here, nothing else is relevant because we just want to look at for the gradient that is perpendicular. So remember that if one gradient, where's my pen? One gradient is 2/3. The other one is we flip it. So that's 2 on 3. So we make it 3 on 2 and it's going to be negative. So -3 on 2 is a C. Okay. Alrighty, let's move on. Question 15. A builder's fee, C dollars, can be determined from the rule C equals 60 plus 55N, where N represents the number of hours worked. According to this rule, the builder's fee will be, okay. So for 1 hour of work, it's going to be 60 plus 55 times 1. Okay, so it's not going to be that. It's going to be more than $60. So let's cross out that one. 2 hours of work. So it's going to be 60 plus 55 times 2. So that's not going to be that one. Too big. You can do that on the calculator if you don't believe me. The next one, 500 for 8 hours of work. Now, I'm going to have to use my calculator for that one. So it was 60 plus 55 times 8 hours work, 500. There we go. So you could have used your calculator for the other ones if you didn't believe me. And if you wanted to check, you can do D and E. What I would do in a multiple choice situation is I would just go back to this one and say check D and E, okay, because I found that was the right answer, but at the end, if I wanted to just check, just to make sure I didn't make an error. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, 16. The graphical solution of the following pair of simultaneous equations. So this one you can do many ways. You can look at which line is which and so on. But I think the easiest way is just to do solve again. So we've got a pair of simultaneous equations that you can solve. So it's 2x minus y plus 9 equals 0. Minus 0 equals 0. And the other one is x plus y plus 3 equals 0. And doesn't matter, comma, x. Now let's just make sure we've typed it in correctly. 2x minus y plus 9 equals 0. X plus y plus 3 equals 0. I'm actually pointing at the screen, I don't know why. Okay, so we have the coordinates -4 and 1. So the point where these two lines cross is at, and we call that the point of intersection. So I'm going to write POI is at -4, 1. So what I can do is now go back to my question and see which ones have that point where it crosses. So let's just go through process of elimination. A, that crosses there at 4.5. So it's definitely not that one because we want -4. This one crosses at -4, good, and 1, awesome. So I don't even have to look at C, D, and E. Okay, let's move on. Question 17, the inequation, blah, 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 has the solution, again, using your calculator. So even though it looks more complicated, it's not actually that much more complicated. You just have to spend a bit more time typing it into your calculator. So control equals, okay, we've got 2 times 4a minus 1. Okay, and we're solving for a. A is less than or equal to 4. Where are we? D. All right, nearly there. The cost to rent a construction crane is $750 per day plus $250 per hour. If the cost of crane rental on a particular day was $2,500, how many hours was it rented for? A little bit harder. So let's just get the equation first. So our equation is C equals, this is a flat fee, so it's just $750 by itself plus $250 per hour. So we can do $250, and I'm just going to do N. N represents the number of hours. Now I know that the cost is $2,500, so that's where the $2,500 goes. So on your calculator, let's get it back up. We just go solve. Okay, C is no longer C, it's 2,500 is equal to 750 plus 250 N, and we're solving for N. Okay, N equals 7, so the answer is C. Okay, let's keep going. Question 19. During a sing-a-thon, the income received by Mandy is represented by the straight line graph below. The graph indicates Mandy received. Okay, so your y-intercept is your flat fee. So she gets $50 no matter how many songs she sings. Okay, so let's go process of elimination. She gets $50 plus something. Okay, so it can't be E, just it's $25 per song. That could be a little bit of an indication if you didn't know what else to do. If that's telling me it's $25 per song, does that mean that it could possibly be one that could be C? Let's just see. Okay, so per song, she starts at $0.50. So per song is the rate or the gradient. So 6, 170. So we're going to do 170 minus 50 over, got that bracket there, 6 minus 0. It's not going to be 25 anyway. So 170 minus 50 is 120. over 6, which gives you $20. Okay, so it's $20 per song, which is answer A. Okay, let's move on. Last question, isn't it? Yes, good. If the midpoint of the line segment joining, okay, so this was a difficult question. We did do one of these in class, so. Okay, and it's the last question because I think it's the hardest one. Okay, so we have a midpoint. And the midpoint has a set of coordinates, x and y. And how we find them is we add x1 and x2 and divide by 2. And we add, just, here's plus, isn't it? y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Sorry, I'm just thinking while I'm doing that. Okay, and remember they're coordinates, so that's an x and a y. So the midpoint of the line segment joining the points, okay, so this one here is x1, y1, x2, y2, and this is your midpoint. So I'm going to put my midpoint here, -2, -5 is equal to the two x's, so -3 plus x. Okay, so remember this point here is in the form x and y. X over 2, and then the y one is also -3 plus y over 2. Now this, and let me just do this in a different colour. Okay, so I'll do this in red. So this part here is equal to -2. So on your CAS calculator, you can do -2 is equal to -3 plus x over 2. So let's quickly do that, even though it's going to be all over, this writing's going to be all over my calculator. Okay, so solve -2 equals, now you can use your division. I'm sorry for the writing over the top. Just make sure you use brackets, so -3 plus x over 2. If we move this calculator over here, you might be able to see it a bit better. Okay, and we're solving for x, so comma x. So that means x is equal to -1. So on here, oh good, I've only got a that is equal to -1. Okay, so I might just finish that off. So, oops, let's get my pen. All right, so that means this equation, x equals -1. Okay, so here, this x is -1. Okay, so a has -1, but none of these do either. So I don't actually have to go ahead and find out what the y is, because it's a has already answered it. I eliminated all other choices, so it's not possible to actually have something else. If you had the time in a test, you would actually go ahead and see if y was also -7. I'm not going to do that because I wanted to keep this under 20 minutes, and it's now just 28.5 minutes. All right, hope that helps, and all the best for the next test.